Mia Thompson had always been a standout employee at the prestigious law firm of Anderson and Collins. From the moment she joined the firm 5 years ago, Mia had consistently proven herself to be a diligent and capable lawyer. Known for her sharp intellect, unwavering dedication, and exceptional legal acumen, Mia quickly climbed the ranks, earning the respect and admiration of her colleagues. Mia's journey had not been easy. As a black woman in a predominantly white and male-dominated industry, she had faced numerous challenges and biases. Yet, she never let these obstacles deter her. Instead, Mia worked twice as hard, determined to shatter the glass ceiling and pave the way for others like her. Her work ethic was unparalleled, often staying late into the night to ensure she delivered nothing short of excellence. Her efforts had not gone unnoticed. Mia had been recognized with several accolades, including the firm's Employee of the Year award and a coveted spot on the team handling high-profile cases. Her clients trusted her implicitly, and her peers frequently sought her advice. It was no surprise to anyone that Mia was considered the frontrunner for the upcoming promotion to senior partner, a role that came with significant responsibility and influence. As the date for the promotion announcement approached, Mia felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. She knew she was the most qualified candidate. Her performance reviews were stellar, and her contributions to the firm were undeniable. More importantly, she had a vision for the future, one where diversity and inclusion were more than just buzzwords, but integral parts of the firm's culture. Mia had spent countless hours preparing for this moment, perfecting her proposal for new initiatives she planned to implement once promoted. She envisioned mentorship programs for minority employees, workshops on unconscious bias, and community outreach projects that would enhance the firm's reputation and impact. Despite her confidence, a small part of Mia couldn't shake the lingering doubts and fears that stemmed from past experiences. She had seen how the firm's upper echelons often overlooked qualified individuals of color in favor of less accomplished but well-connected white colleagues. Still, Mia remained hopeful, believing that her hard work and undeniable achievements would finally be rewarded. On the morning of the announcement, Mia dressed with extra care, choosing a professional yet elegant outfit that exuded confidence. As she looked in the mirror, she reminded herself of how far she had come and the significance of this moment, not just for her career, but for the message it would send to every marginalized employee in the firm. With her head held high and determination in her eyes, Mia stepped out of her apartment, ready to face whatever the day had in store. Little did she know, the events about to unfold would not only challenge her resilience, but also set the stage for an extraordinary turn of events that would leave everyone speechless. The anticipation in the office was palpable as the clock ticked towards noon. Employees gathered in the firm's spacious conference room, buzzing with excitement and speculation about who would be promoted to senior partner. Mia stood among them, her heart pounding in her chest. She had worked tirelessly for this moment and felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. At exactly 12 o'clock, Mr. Anderson, the managing partner, entered the room. He was a tall, imposing figure with a reputation for being tough but fair. He surveyed the crowd with a serious expression before taking his place at the head of the conference table. The room fell silent, everyone eager to hear the announcement. "Thank you all for gathering here today," Mr. Anderson began, his deep voice resonating through the room. "As you know, the decision to promote a new senior partner is not one we take lightly. We have carefully reviewed the performance and contributions of each candidate." Mia felt a rush of adrenaline. This was it. She glanced around the room, noting the supportive smiles from her friends and the expectant looks from her colleagues. Even some of the senior partners who had been her mentors gave her encouraging nods. She straightened her posture, ready to accept the recognition she had earned. Mr. Anderson continued, We have had the privilege of watching several of our lawyers grow and excel within our firm. One individual, in particular, has shown exceptional dedication, skill, and leadership potential." Mia held her breath, her heart racing with anticipation. "And it is with great pleasure that we announce the promotion of David Lawson to the position of senior partner." Mia's heart sank. The room erupted in applause, but she felt like she was in a daze. David Lawson? She couldn't believe it. David was a competent lawyer, but his performance and contributions paled in comparison to hers. He had only been with the firm for 3 years and lacked the experience and proven track record that Mia had. She forced herself to clap along with everyone else, though her hands felt heavy and her mind was spinning. As David stood up to accept the congratulations, Mia's thoughts raced. She had seen this coming. How many times had she witnessed deserving colleagues of color being overlooked in favor of less qualified white peers? But she had hoped, believed, that this time would be different. As the applause died down and the room began to clear, Mia remained rooted to the spot, trying to process what had just happened. Mr. Anderson approached her, a look of concern on his face. "Mia, I know you were expecting this promotion," he said quietly. "You've done incredible work here, and we value your contributions immensely. This decision was very difficult, but ultimately, we felt David was a better fit for the role at this time." Mia nodded numbly, unable to trust herself to speak without betraying the torrent of emotions swirling inside her. She managed a tight smile and thanked Mr. Anderson before excusing herself from the room. As she walked back to her office, the reality of the situation hit her like a wave. She felt a mix of disappointment, anger, and betrayal. But beneath it all, a fire of determination began to burn. She knew she couldn't let this injustice go unchallenged. Mia closed her office door behind her and took a deep breath. She had been denied what she rightfully deserved, but she wasn't going to let this setback define her. With a newfound resolve, she began to formulate a plan. What she did next would leave her racist boss and everyone else utterly stunned. After the initial shock of the promotion announcement wore off, Mia's emotions began to solidify into a determined resolve. She spent the rest of the day in a haze, going through the motions of her work while her mind raced with thoughts and strategies. By the time the office began to empty out for the evening, she had made up her mind. She wouldn't let this injustice stand. Mia knew she had to be smart about her next steps. She couldn't afford to act impulsively, nor could she let her emotions cloud her judgment. This was about more than just her career. This was about standing up against a pattern of discrimination that had been all too prevalent in the firm. She needed to gather evidence and build a strong case that would be impossible to ignore. That evening, Mia went home and began to meticulously document her achievements and contributions to the firm. She compiled a list of all the high-profile cases she had won, the clients she had brought in, and the hours she had dedicated to the firm. As she reviewed her record, the disparity between her accomplishments and those of David became glaringly apparent. Next, Mia reached out to her network. She called former colleagues and mentors, explaining her situation and seeking their advice. Many of them expressed their outrage and support, offering to write letters of recommendation and vouch for her competence and leadership abilities. Their encouragement strengthened her resolve even further. Mia also decided to consult with a legal expert specializing in workplace discrimination. She wanted to understand her rights and the best course of action to take. The lawyer, a seasoned professional named Karen, listened intently as Mia laid out her case. "This is a classic example of racial and gender discrimination," Karen said, her tone resolute. "You have a strong case, Mia, but we need to approach this strategically. First, We'll gather all the evidence and document everything. Then, we'll draft a formal complaint to present to the firm's leadership." Mia nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and determination. "I want to do this right," she said. "I want to make sure they can't just sweep this under the rug." Over the next few weeks, Mia worked tirelessly with Karen to build her case. She gathered emails, performance reviews, and any other documentation that demonstrated her qualifications and contributions. She also kept a detailed journal of any interactions that could be seen as discriminatory, knowing that every piece of evidence would be crucial. As the case came together, Mia began to feel a sense of empowerment. She was no longer just reacting to the injustice she had faced. She was taking control and fighting back. And she knew she wasn't alone. Her friends, family, and colleagues stood behind her, offering their support and encouragement. Finally, the day came when Mia and Karen were ready to present their formal complaint. Mia felt a mixture of nerves and determination as she walked into Mr. Anderson's office, the neatly bound document in her hands. She had requested this meeting to discuss an important matter, and Mr. Anderson had agreed, though he had no idea what was coming. "Mia, what can I do for you?" Mr. Anderson asked, looking up from his desk as she entered. Mia took a deep breath, her resolve firm. "I want to discuss the recent promotion decision," she said, her voice steady, "and the pattern of discrimination that has been taking place in this firm." Mr. Anderson's expression shifted to one of surprise and concern. "Discrimination? Mia, I assure you, we take such matters very seriously. What exactly are you referring to?" Mia handed him the document. "This is a formal complaint detailing the evidence of racial and gender discrimination I've experienced here. I expect it to be taken seriously and addressed accordingly." Mr. Anderson's face went pale as he flipped through the pages, his eyes widening with each passing second. He looked up at Mia, clearly stunned. I had no idea," he stammered. "We will, of course, investigate this thoroughly." Mia nodded, a sense of vindication washing over her. "Thank you, Mr. Anderson. I look forward to seeing the results of the investigation." As she left his office, Mia felt a weight lift off her shoulders. She had taken a stand and made her voice heard. Whatever happened next, she knew she had done the right thing. Word of Mia's formal complaint spread quickly through the firm, creating an atmosphere of tense anticipation. The leadership team, realizing the gravity of the situation, convened an emergency meeting to discuss the next steps. Mr. Anderson, visibly shaken by the complaint, stressed the importance of a thorough and unbiased investigation. An external law firm specializing in workplace discrimination was brought in to ensure impartiality. Their task was to investigate Mia's claims, review the firm's policies and practices, and determine if there was a systemic issue of discrimination at play. The investigation was expected to take several weeks, during which time everyone in the firm felt the weight of uncertainty and scrutiny. Mia continued to perform her duties with unwavering professionalism. Despite the undercurrents of gossip and speculation, she maintained her focus, determined to demonstrate her resilience and dedication. Her colleagues' reactions varied. Some expressed their support openly, while others distanced themselves, perhaps fearing association with the controversy. David, the newly promoted colleague, seemed particularly uncomfortable. He avoided eye contact with Mia and often left the room when she entered. Mia noticed his discomfort but didn't let it distract her. She was committed to seeing the investigation through to its conclusion. As the investigation progressed, the external law firm conducted interviews with employees at all levels. They examined performance reviews, promotion histories, and other relevant documents. Mia's meticulous documentation of her achievements and interactions with the firm's leadership proved invaluable. One day, Mia received a call from Karen, her lawyer. "Mia, I wanted to give you an update on the investigation," Karen said. "I've been in touch with the investigators, and it seems your case is gaining traction. They're uncovering a pattern that supports your claims." Mia felt a surge of hope. "That's great to hear. What happens next?" "They'll likely want to speak with you again, to go over some details and clarify a few points. Stay strong, Mia. This is a critical moment." A few days later, Mia was called into a meeting with the lead investigator, a sharp and meticulous woman named Jessica. The meeting was held in a neutral conference room, devoid of any personal touches that might influence the proceedings. Mia took a seat across from Jessica, who greeted her with a professional nod. "Thank you for coming, Ms. Davis," Jessica began. "I want to start by acknowledging the courage it took to bring this complaint forward. We've reviewed the documentation you provided and conducted numerous interviews. Your claims are being taken very seriously." Mia nodded, feeling a mix of anxiety and determination. "Thank you for the update. I'm prepared to answer any questions you have." Jessica spent the next hour asking Mia detailed questions about her experiences, the promotion process, and her interactions with the firm's leadership. Mia answered each question carefully, ensuring she provided as much detail and context as possible. As the meeting drew to a close, Jessica offered a small, reassuring smile. "You've been very helpful, Ms. Davis. We're nearing the end of our investigation, and I believe you'll be pleased with the outcome. We'll be in touch soon." Mia left the meeting with a renewed sense of hope. The investigation was nearing its conclusion, and the evidence was mounting in her favor. She knew there were still challenges ahead, but for the first time in weeks, she felt a glimmer of optimism. The days that followed were filled with a sense of anticipation. The entire firm seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the investigation's findings. Mia continued to work diligently, supported by her colleagues and allies who admired her bravery and resolve. Finally, the day arrived when the investigators were ready to present their findings. The leadership team, including Mr. Anderson, gathered in the firm's largest conference room. The atmosphere was thick with tension as Jessica stood at the head of the table, a stack of documents in front of her. "Thank you all for being here," Jessica began, her voice clear and authoritative. "After a thorough investigation, we've reached our conclusions. There is clear evidence of systemic racial and gender discrimination within this firm, affecting promotion practices and overall workplace culture." Murmurs of shock and disbelief rippled through the room. Mr. Anderson's face turned ashen as Jessica continued, detailing the specific findings and recommendations for addressing the issues. Mia, who had been invited to attend the meeting, felt a mix of vindication and relief. "We recommend immediate reforms to the promotion process, mandatory diversity and inclusion training, and the establishment of an independent oversight committee to ensure these practices are upheld," Jessica concluded. Mr. Anderson nodded, his expression one of grim determination. "Thank you for your thorough work, Jessica. We will implement these recommendations immediately. And Mia," he added, turning to her, "I want to personally apologize for the injustice you faced. We are committed to making things right." Mia accepted the apology with grace. "Thank you, Mr. Anderson. I hope these changes will ensure that no one else has to go through what I did." As the meeting ended, Mia felt a sense of closure. The battle wasn't over, but significant progress had been made. She had stood up against discrimination and had seen the firm take concrete steps toward change. The future looked brighter, not just for her, but for everyone in the firm. With the internal investigation now complete and reforms underway, the atmosphere at the firm began to shift. Employees were cautiously optimistic about the changes, and conversations about diversity and inclusion became more common. Mia's bravery had inspired many, and she was no longer viewed as just an employee but as a catalyst for change. One afternoon, Mia received an unexpected email. It was from Susan Thompson, a senior partner at the firm who had been on maternity leave during the initial promotion decisions. Susan had a reputation for being fair-minded and passionate about equality in the workplace. The email was brief but intriguing. Subject: Let's talk. Hi Mia. I hope you're doing well. I've been following the recent developments at the firm and wanted to discuss something important with you. Could we meet for coffee tomorrow? Best, Susan. Mia responded quickly, agreeing to meet Susan at a nearby cafe. She was curious about what Susan wanted to discuss, and hopeful that it might lead to further positive changes at the firm. The next day, Mia arrived at the cafe a few minutes early. She chose a quiet table near the window and ordered a coffee, her mind racing with possibilities. When Susan arrived, she greeted Mia warmly and took a seat across from her. "Thank you for meeting with me, Mia," Susan began, her tone sincere. "I've been away for a few months, but I've been following everything that's happened. I want to start by saying how much I admire your courage. It takes a lot to stand up for what's right, especially in the face of such adversity." Mia felt a wave of gratitude. "Thank you, Susan. It hasn't been easy, but I knew something had to change." Susan nodded. "I've been thinking a lot about how we can ensure these changes are effective and lasting. I believe we need a more structured approach to diversity and inclusion within the firm. I've been advocating for the creation of a diversity and inclusion committee for years, but it's never gained much traction. Now, with your support and the current momentum, I think we can finally make it happen." Mia's eyes lit up. "That sounds like a great idea. I'd love to be involved and help in any way I can." Susan smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that. Your experience and perspective are invaluable. Together, we can push for real, meaningful change. We can ensure that the firm's commitment to diversity and inclusion is more than just words on paper." As they discussed their plans, Mia felt a renewed sense of purpose. She had taken a stand against discrimination, and now she had the opportunity to help build a more inclusive and equitable workplace. With Susan as an ally, she knew they could make a significant impact. They spent the next hour brainstorming ideas and strategies. Susan suggested starting with a firm-wide survey to gather input from all employees about their experiences and perspectives on diversity and inclusion. This would provide a solid foundation for their efforts and help identify specific areas that needed attention. Mia agreed enthusiastically. "It's important that everyone feels heard and valued. This survey will give us the data we need to make informed decisions and track our progress." Susan nodded. "Exactly. And we should also organize regular workshops and training sessions, focusing on unconscious bias, cultural competency, and inclusive leadership. We need to equip our employees with the tools and knowledge to create a truly inclusive environment." As their meeting came to an end, Mia felt invigorated. She had found a powerful ally in Susan, and together they were determined to create lasting change at the firm. They agreed to meet again soon to finalize their plans and present their proposal to the leadership team. Walking back to the office, Mia couldn't help but smile. She had faced discrimination and adversity, but she had also found strength, resilience, and a newfound sense of purpose. With Susan's support and the backing of the firm's leadership, she was ready to continue the fight for equality and justice. Over the next few days, Mia and Susan worked tirelessly to finalize their proposal for the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. They collaborated on the details, ensuring that their plan was comprehensive and addressed the core issues within the firm. They included objectives, strategies, and a timeline for implementation, along with specific actions such as the firm-wide survey, regular workshops, and mentorship programs. Once they were satisfied with their proposal, Susan scheduled a meeting with the firm's leadership team. This was a critical moment, and Mia felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. They were about to present their vision for a more inclusive and equitable workplace, and the outcome of this meeting would determine whether their efforts would be realized. The day of the meeting arrived, and Mia dressed in her best professional attire. She wanted to project confidence and determination. When she arrived at the conference room, she found Susan already there, arranging their presentation materials. Susan gave her a reassuring smile as Mia took her seat beside her. One by one, the members of the leadership team entered the room. Among them was Mr. Thompson, the firm's managing partner, and a few other senior partners who held significant influence. Mia noticed a range of expressions on their faces: curiosity, skepticism, and, in some cases, support. Once everyone was seated, Susan stood up to introduce their proposal. "Thank you all for coming today. Mia and I are here to present a proposal that we believe is crucial for the future success of our firm. It's a comprehensive plan to establish a diversity and inclusion committee that will drive our efforts to create a more inclusive and equitable workplace." Susan handed out copies of the proposal and began the presentation. She outlined the key objectives and strategies, emphasizing the importance of diversity and inclusion in fostering innovation, improving employee morale, and attracting top talent. Mia supported Susan by sharing her personal experiences and highlighting the positive changes that had already begun within the firm since the internal investigation. As they spoke, Mia could see the leadership team members reacting to their words. Some nodded in agreement, while others seemed more reserved, possibly grappling with the implications of the proposal. When Susan finished outlining the plan, she opened the floor for questions and comments. Mr. Thompson was the first to speak. "Thank you, Susan and Mia, for this thorough proposal. It's clear you've put a lot of thought and effort into it. I agree that diversity and inclusion are essential for our firm's growth and success. However, implementing such a comprehensive plan will require resources and commitment from all levels of the organization. How do you propose we ensure that everyone is on board?" Mia took a deep breath before responding. "Mr. Thompson, we understand that this initiative will require significant effort and resources. That's why our proposal includes a phased approach, starting with the firm-wide survey to gather input from all employees. This will help us identify specific areas of concern and tailor our actions accordingly. We also believe that regular communication and transparency will be key to gaining support and maintaining momentum. By involving employees at all levels in the process and providing continuous education and training, we can foster a culture of inclusion and accountability." Another senior partner, Ms. Rodriguez, chimed in. "I appreciate the emphasis on education and training. It's crucial that we address unconscious biases and equip our employees with the tools to create an inclusive environment. How do you plan to measure the success of this initiative?" Susan replied, "We will establish clear metrics and regular checkpoints to assess our progress. This includes tracking participation in training sessions, analyzing the results of the firm-wide survey, and monitoring key performance indicators related to employee satisfaction and retention. By maintaining a data-driven approach, We can make informed decisions and adjust our strategies as needed to ensure continuous improvement. The discussion continued for nearly an hour, with Mia and Susan addressing various questions and concerns. By the end of the meeting, Mia felt a sense of cautious optimism. While not everyone was fully convinced, there was a growing recognition of the need for change and the potential benefits of their proposal. Mr. Thompson stood up, signaling the end of the meeting. "Thank you, Susan and Mia, for your presentation. We will take your proposal under serious consideration and discuss it further in our next leadership meeting. In the meantime, I encourage all of you to review the proposal in detail and provide your feedback." As the leadership team members began to file out of the room, Susan turned to Mia with a smile. "We did it. Now we just have to wait and see." Mia nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and anticipation. They had taken a significant step forward, but there was still much work to be done. Regardless of the outcome, Mia knew she had made a difference, and that she had allies in this fight for equality and justice. In the days following their presentation, Mia and Susan anxiously awaited feedback from the leadership team. They continued their usual work, but the anticipation of the firm's decision about the Diversity and Inclusion Committee hung over them. Mia found herself constantly checking her email, hoping for any updates. One afternoon, as Mia was deep into a complex case file, she received an unexpected visitor in her office. It was Mr. Thompson, the managing partner. His presence took her by surprise, and she quickly stood up, gesturing for him to take a seat. "Mr. Thompson, good afternoon. How can I help you?" Mia asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Mr. Thompson smiled warmly. "Good afternoon, Mia. I wanted to speak with you personally about the proposal you and Susan presented. I've had some time to review it in detail, and I must say, I'm impressed with the thoroughness and thoughtfulness of your plan." Mia felt a surge of hope. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. We truly believe this initiative is crucial for the firm's future." He nodded. "I agree, which is why I've decided to support the proposal and present it to the board for approval. However, there is something I want to discuss with you." Curiosity piqued. Mia leaned forward. "Of course, sir. What is it?" Mr. Thompson's expression grew serious. "I understand that implementing this plan will require not just resources, but also strong leadership. I believe you have shown remarkable resilience and dedication, not just through this proposal, but in your work here at the firm. That's why I want to offer you a more significant role in overseeing this initiative, assuming it gets approved by the board." Mia was taken aback. "You want me to lead the Diversity and Inclusion Committee?" "Yes," Mr. Thompson confirmed. "You have first-hand experience and a clear vision for what needs to change. Plus, having someone from within our ranks, someone who understands both the challenges and the potential solutions, will be invaluable. What do you think?" Mia's mind raced. This was a huge opportunity, one that could allow her to make a tangible impact. But it also meant stepping into a role with significant responsibilities and visibility. She took a deep breath and nodded. "I would be honored, Mr. Thompson. Thank you for your trust in me." He smiled. "I have no doubt that you will excel in this role. I'll keep you updated on the board's decision. In the meantime, start thinking about the next steps for implementation. We'll need to hit the ground running once we get the green light." After Mr. Thompson left, Mia sat back in her chair, processing the conversation. She felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Leading the Diversity and Inclusion Committee was a massive undertaking, but it was also a chance to create meaningful change. Later that day, Mia shared the news with Susan, who was equally thrilled. This is incredible, Mia. I knew Mr. Thompson saw the value in our proposal, but to have you lead the committee? That's perfect. Mia smiled, feeling more confident with Susan's support. I couldn't have done it without you, Susan. This is our victory. As the days passed, more unexpected allies began to emerge. Several colleagues approached Mia and Susan, expressing their support for the initiative. They shared their own experiences and offered to help in any way they could. It became clear that there was a strong undercurrent of support within the firm, and Mia's courage had inspired others to step forward. Even some senior partners, who had initially been skeptical, began to voice their approval. Ms. Rodriguez, who had asked insightful questions during the presentation, reached out to Mia with additional suggestions and offered her assistance in navigating the complexities of firm politics. Mia realized that she was not alone in this fight. The support from her colleagues bolstered her resolve and gave her the confidence to move forward. The firm was on the brink of a significant transformation, and Mia was ready to lead the charge. The day of the board meeting arrived with an air of anticipation and tension. Mia stood in front of the mirror in her apartment, adjusting her blazer and taking a deep breath. Today would be pivotal, not just for her career but for the entire firm. She had spent countless hours preparing for this moment, and now it was time to see if their hard work would pay off. Arriving at the firm, Mia was greeted by Susan, who gave her a reassuring smile. "You look ready to take on the world, Mia. How are you feeling?" Mia smiled back, though she could feel the nervous energy coursing through her. A bit nervous, but mostly determined. "We've got this." Together, they made their way to the boardroom, where the members of the firm's leadership team were already assembled. Mr. Thompson stood at the head of the table, looking composed and confident. As Mia and Susan took their seats, Mr. Thompson gave them a nod of acknowledgement. The meeting began with routine matters, but Mia's mind was focused on what was to come. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Mr. Thompson addressed the room. Next on the agenda is the proposal for the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. As many of you know, this initiative was put forward by Mia Johnson and Susan Keller. I've reviewed their proposal in detail, and I'm impressed by their thoroughness and the potential impact this initiative could have on our firm. He gestured towards Mia and Susan. I'll hand it over to them to present their findings and recommendations. Mia stood, feeling the weight of every eye in the room on her. She took a deep breath and began. "Good morning, everyone. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present our proposal. Our goal with this Diversity and Inclusion Committee is to create a more equitable and inclusive environment within our firm. We believe that fostering diversity not only aligns with our core values, but also enhances our competitive edge in the industry." As Mia spoke, she saw heads nodding in agreement. She detailed the key points of their proposal: the mentorship program, recruitment strategies, cultural competency training, and the anonymous reporting system. Each aspect was designed to address specific challenges and promote a more inclusive workplace culture. Susan then took over, explaining the metrics they would use to measure success and the phased implementation plan. She emphasized the importance of transparency and accountability in achieving their goals. When they finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then, Mr. Thompson spoke. "Thank you, Mia and Susan. This is clearly a well-thought-out and comprehensive plan. I'd like to open the floor for any questions or comments." Ms. Rodriguez was the first to speak. "I appreciate the depth of this proposal. Can you elaborate on how you plan to ensure sustained engagement from all levels of the firm?" Mia nodded. "Absolutely. Sustained engagement will require ongoing communication and involvement from leadership. We plan to hold regular town hall meetings, distribute quarterly reports, and actively seek feedback from employees. Leadership's visible commitment will be crucial in setting the tone for the entire firm. Another board member, Mr. Davies, leaned forward. How do you propose we address potential resistance from those who might be skeptical of this initiative? Susan answered, education and communication are key. By providing cultural competency training and creating spaces for open dialogue, we hope to address misconceptions and build a collective understanding of the benefits of diversity. Additionally, having clear policies and a transparent reporting system will help in addressing any resistance constructively. As more questions followed, Mia and Susan fielded each one with confidence and clarity. The atmosphere in the room began to shift from cautious curiosity to genuine interest and support. Finally, Mr. Thompson called for a vote. All those in favor of approving the Diversity and Inclusion Committee as outlined, please raise your hands. One by one, hands went up around the table. Mia felt a surge of hope as she counted the votes. When the last hand was raised, Mr. Thompson smiled. The proposal is approved unanimously. Relief and joy washed over Mia. She exchanged a grateful look with Susan, knowing that this was just the beginning. They had secured the foundation for meaningful change within the firm. As the meeting adjourned, Mr. Thompson approached Mia and Susan. Congratulations! You've done a remarkable job, and I have no doubt that this initiative will be a success. Now, let's get to work. Mia left the boardroom with a sense of accomplishment and a renewed determination. They had taken a significant step forward, but the real work was just beginning. With the backing of the leadership team and the support of their colleagues, Mia and Susan were ready to lead the charge towards a more inclusive and equitable future. In the days following the board meeting, the news of the approved Diversity and Inclusion Committee spread throughout the firm like wildfire. The announcement was met with a mix of reactions, ranging from enthusiastic support to cautious skepticism. For Mia, the atmosphere was charged with a new energy, but it was also clear that not everyone was on board. As she walked through the hallways, she noticed the way conversations would hush when she approached, only to resume with hushed whispers as she passed. It was a subtle but telling indication of the mixed feelings her initiative had stirred. Some employees offered her warm congratulations and expressed their excitement about the new changes, while others gave her polite but distant nods, their true feelings masked behind professional facades. One afternoon, Mia found herself in the break room, grabbing a quick coffee between meetings. As she poured her cup, she overheard a group of colleagues at a nearby table discussing the new committee. They spoke in low voices, but their words carried. "I don't see why we need a whole committee for this," one man said, shaking his head. "We've been doing fine without it." A woman sitting next to him shrugged. "I don't know. I think it's a good idea. Maybe it'll help bring in more diverse talent. Besides, it's not like we're losing anything by trying." The first man scoffed. "Sure, but it's just more corporate fluff. As if we don't have enough meetings already." Mia felt a pang of frustration but kept her expression neutral. It was clear that while some welcomed the changes, others saw it as unnecessary or even a burden. She took her coffee and left the room, determined not to let the negativity dampen her spirits. Later that day, Mia received an email from Mr. Thompson, requesting a meeting. Her heart skipped a beat, wondering if there was a problem. When she arrived at his office, he greeted her with a serious expression.
"Come in, Mia."
"Have a seat," he said, gesturing to the chair opposite his desk. Mia sat down, her nerves on edge. "Is everything okay, Mr. Thompson?" He sighed, leaning back in his chair. "Mia, first of all, I want to commend you on the excellent presentation. The board was very impressed, and we all believe this initiative is a step in the right direction." Mia nodded, sensing a "but" coming. "However," Mr. Thompson continued, "I've received some feedback from a few employees who are concerned about the implementation of the committee. Some feel it might be a distraction from their work, or that it's unnecessary." Mia felt a surge of frustration but remained calm. "I understand, Mr. Thompson. Change is always challenging, and not everyone will be on board from the start. But I believe that with time and clear communication, we can address these concerns and demonstrate the value of this initiative." Mr. Thompson nodded thoughtfully. "I agree. That's why I wanted to discuss how we can roll this out in a way that minimizes disruption and addresses any concerns up front. I think it would be helpful to have an open forum where employees can voice their questions, and we can provide more clarity on the committee's goals and how it will benefit everyone." Mia felt a sense of relief. Mr. Thompson was still supportive, and he was offering a practical solution to address the pushback. "I think that's a great idea. Transparency and open communication will be key to gaining everyone's trust and support." Mr. Thompson smiled, a hint of warmth in his usually stoic expression. "Good. Let's set it up for next week. In the meantime, keep up the good work. We're all counting on you to lead this effort." As Mia left his office, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. There would be challenges ahead, but she was ready to face them head-on. The fallout from the committee's approval was a reminder that not everyone would be supportive, but it also reinforced her belief in the importance of this work. With the backing of the firm's leadership and a clear plan to address concerns, Mia was determined to make the Diversity and Inclusion Committee a success. The following week, Mia and Mr. Thompson organized an open forum to address the questions and concerns surrounding the new Diversity and Inclusion Committee. Notices were sent out company-wide, inviting all employees to attend and participate in the discussion. Mia knew this was a crucial moment for gaining broader support and clarifying the committee's objectives. On the day of the forum, the large conference room was filled with employees. Some had expressions of curiosity, others of skepticism. Mia took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was sure to be a challenging session. Mr. Thompson opened the meeting with a brief introduction. "Thank you all for coming today. We're here to discuss the new Diversity and Inclusion Committee, an initiative that we believe will enhance our company's culture and ensure a more inclusive environment for everyone. I'll now turn it over to Mia, who has been instrumental in driving this effort." Mia stood up, feeling the weight of countless eyes upon her. She began with a summary of the committee's goals and the positive impact it could have on the company. "Our mission is to create a workplace where everyone feels valued and respected, regardless of their background. This committee will work on policies and programs to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion across all levels of our organization." After her introduction, Mia opened the floor to questions. A hand shot up almost immediately. It was Tom, a senior analyst known for his bluntness. "Mia," Tom began, "I understand the good intentions behind this, but how exactly will this committee avoid becoming just another bureaucratic layer? We already have tight deadlines and a heavy workload. How do we ensure this doesn't just add more to our plates without tangible benefits?" Mia nodded, appreciating the direct question. "Thank you, Tom. That's a valid concern. The committee's role is not to create more work, but to identify and remove barriers that might prevent employees from performing at their best. We plan to streamline processes and introduce policies that foster a more supportive work environment, ultimately enhancing productivity and job satisfaction. Another hand went up. It was Lisa from HR. What kind of initiatives can we expect to see from the committee? Mia smiled, glad for the opportunity to share specifics. We're looking at several initiatives, including mentorship programs to support underrepresented groups, bias training workshops, and creating employee resource groups. Additionally, we'll be reviewing our recruitment and promotion practices to ensure they are fair and equitable. As more questions were asked, Mia continued to provide thoughtful, detailed answers. She could see some employees starting to nod in agreement, their skepticism gradually turning to interest. Then, Richard Hawthorne, the CFO, stood up. His presence alone caused a hush to fall over the room. "Mia," he began, his tone measured, "how do you plan to measure the success of this committee? What metrics will you use to ensure it's making a real impact?" Mia had anticipated this question. "We'll track several key performance indicators, including employee engagement scores, retention rates, and diversity metrics across different levels of the organization. We'll also conduct regular surveys to gather feedback and adjust our strategies as needed. Transparency will be crucial, and we will share our progress with the entire company." Richard nodded, seemingly satisfied with her response. The session continued with more questions, some challenging, others supportive. By the end of the forum, Mia felt a sense of accomplishment. She had managed to address the concerns of her colleagues and outline a clear, actionable plan for the committee. As the employees began to leave, several approached Mia to offer their support. "I think this is a great step forward," Lisa said, smiling. "Count me in for any help you need." Tom, who had been skeptical at first, also came up to her. "You made some good points today, Mia. I'm interested to see how this pans out. Let me know if you need any input from our department." Mia thanked them, feeling a wave of gratitude and relief. The open forum had been a success, and she had managed to build a coalition of supporters who believed in the committee's mission. Later, Mr. Thompson approached her, his expression one of pride. "You did an excellent job today, Mia. This is just the beginning, but I have no doubt that you'll lead this initiative to great success." Mia smiled, feeling more confident than ever. The forum had been a turning point, showing her that change was possible and that she had the support needed to make a real difference. In the weeks following the open forum, Mia noticed a palpable shift in the atmosphere at work. Conversations about diversity and inclusion became more frequent, and employees from various departments began approaching her with their own ideas and suggestions. The committee meetings were productive, filled with enthusiasm and a sense of purpose. It was clear that Mia's efforts were starting to make a difference. One afternoon, Mia received an email from Lisa in HR, requesting a meeting to discuss a potential mentorship program. Intrigued, Mia agreed, and the two met in a small conference room. Lisa was already there, a notebook open in front of her. "Mia, I've been thinking a lot about our discussion at the forum," Lisa began. "I've always wanted to implement a mentorship program to support new hires, especially those from underrepresented backgrounds. With the committee's backing, I believe we can finally make it happen." Mia smiled, feeling a surge of excitement. "I love the idea, Lisa. What do you have in mind?" Lisa outlined her vision, pairing new employees with experienced mentors who could provide guidance, support, and help them navigate the corporate culture. The program would include regular check-ins, professional development workshops, and networking events. "I think this could be a game-changer for employee retention and morale," Lisa said, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. Mia agreed wholeheartedly. "Let's draft a proposal and present it at the next committee meeting." I'm sure everyone will be on board." The following week, they presented the mentorship program to the committee. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and plans were quickly set in motion to launch the program within the next few months. As word spread about the upcoming mentorship program, Mia noticed an increase in employee engagement. More people were attending the committee meetings, eager to contribute and share their ideas. Even those who had been skeptical at first were now expressing their support. One day, while Mia was grabbing a coffee in the break room, she overheard a conversation between two colleagues. "Have you heard about the new mentorship program?" one of them asked. "I think it's going to be great. It's about time we had something like this." Mia felt a warm glow of pride as she listened. The ripple effect of their efforts was becoming more evident each day. Employees were not only embracing the changes, but also contributing to the overall mission of creating a more inclusive workplace. However, not everyone was pleased. Mia's success and the growing influence of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee had not gone unnoticed by Richard Hawthorne. The CFO, who had been a vocal skeptic from the start, seemed increasingly agitated by the changes. He often made pointed comments during meetings, questioning the necessity and impact of the initiatives. One evening, as Mia was leaving the office, she ran into Richard in the elevator. The two rode in silence for a few moments before Richard spoke. "Mia, I have to admit, you've made quite an impact with this committee," he said, his tone measured. "But I still have my reservations. All these programs and initiatives, they're great in theory, but will they really produce the results we need? Will they drive the business forward?" Mia turned to face him, meeting his gaze with unwavering confidence. "Richard, I understand your concerns, but I believe that a more inclusive and diverse workplace will not only boost morale and retention, but also drive innovation and growth. We're already seeing positive changes, and I truly believe this is just the beginning." Richard studied her for a moment, his expression unreadable. "I suppose time will tell," he said finally, as the elevator doors opened and they stepped out. Despite his skepticism, Mia felt more determined than ever. The positive feedback from her colleagues, the successful launch of the mentorship program, and the growing engagement across the company were proof that they were on the right path. As she walked to her car, Mia couldn't help but feel a sense of fulfillment. She had faced numerous challenges and obstacles, but her perseverance and commitment to creating a better workplace were paying off. The ripple effect of her efforts was spreading, touching lives and changing the company for the better. Months had passed since the initial open forum that sparked significant changes within the company. Mia stood in the hallway outside the conference room, taking a moment to reflect. The mentorship program had launched successfully, and the feedback had been overwhelmingly positive. Employee morale was high, and the company culture was evolving into something Mia was proud to be a part of. Inside the conference room, the Diversity and Inclusion Committee was preparing for their quarterly review meeting. Mia walked in, greeted by the sight of her colleagues chatting animatedly, their faces bright with anticipation. As the meeting began, Lisa stood up to give an update on the mentorship program. "We've paired over 50 new hires with mentors," Lisa announced, her voice filled with pride. "The feedback has been incredible. Many ments have expressed how the program has helped them feel more connected and supported in their roles." Applause filled the room, and Mia couldn't help but smile. This was exactly what she had hoped for, a company where everyone felt valued and included. Next, it was Mia's turn to present the results of their latest employee satisfaction survey. She stood at the front of the room, her heart swelling with pride as she shared the findings. "Employee satisfaction has increased by 25% since we implemented our new initiatives," Mia reported. People are feeling more engaged, more respected, and more motivated. We've come a long way, but there's still more work to be done. As she spoke, Mia noticed Richard Hawthorne sitting at the back of the room, his expression thoughtful. After the meeting, he approached her, his demeanor less guarded than before. "Mia, I wanted to congratulate you on the progress you've made," Richard said, extending his hand. "I've seen the changes, and I have to admit, they're impressive. You've proven me wrong." Mia shook his hand, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "Thank you, Richard. It means a lot to hear that from you. We're just getting started, and I hope you'll continue to support us." Richard nodded, a hint of a smile on his face. "Count on it." The transformation of the company didn't stop there. Over the next few months, the Diversity and Inclusion Committee continued to roll out new programs and initiatives, each one aimed at fostering a more inclusive and supportive environment. They hosted workshops on unconscious bias, created employee resource groups, and even launched a company-wide Diversity Day to celebrate the rich tapestry of cultures and backgrounds that made up their workforce. One afternoon, Mia received an unexpected visitor at her office. It was Ms. Jenkins, the elderly janitor who had been a quiet but supportive presence throughout Mia's journey. "I just wanted to thank you, Mia," Ms. Jenkins said, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You've made this place better for everyone. I'm proud of you." Mia felt a lump form in her throat as she hugged Ms. Jenkins. "Thank you. Your support means the world to me." As Mia sat back at her desk, she reflected on how far they had come. The journey had been challenging, filled with moments of doubt and adversity. But through it all, Mia had remained steadfast, driven by a vision of a better, more inclusive workplace. Looking ahead, Mia knew there would still be challenges to face and barriers to break. But she also knew that with the support of her colleagues and the continued efforts of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, they would continue to make progress. The company was entering a new era, one defined by respect, inclusivity, and shared success. And at the heart of it all was Mia, whose courage and determination had set in motion a chain of events that left everyone, including the once skeptical Richard, speechless. As she walked through the halls of the company, Mia felt a sense of fulfillment and purpose. She had not only fought for her rightful place, but had also paved the way for others to thrive. The future was bright, and Mia was ready to continue leading the charge toward a more equitable and just workplace. And so, with each step she took, Mia carried with her the lessons of resilience, the power of unity, and the belief that one person's actions could indeed make a difference. The entire chain had been shocked by what she did, but now they were inspired and ready to follow her lead into a better future.